Hello, everyone. My name is Helena Jai, and this is the Guided Expression podcast. I welcome you all. And here with me, I have Abby. You guys remember Abby?
Hello, everyone. My name is Abby. I usually go by the one name, funny enough.
It's
Yeah,
always Abby. But
it's always Abby. I have a surname, but I don't use it.
she has a whole lot attached to the Abby. She has Abby, the radio presenter, Abby, the teacher, Abby, the lecturer, Abby, the disciplinarian, a whole lot.
Please, remove that discipline because even myself, I need discipline.
Okay. All right, Happy, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank
Excited
you.
that we
Thank
can
you.
invite you once again and you're here with us.
It's an absolute pleasure. I must not lie. It
Thank you
really
so
is an
much.
absolute pleasure.
All right, so today on the show, we're going to be talking about the theme of the last workshop, which was the state of mind. And we're also going to briefly talk about what we'll be discussing at the next workshop. And I can't wait to go into this conversation because this has been a dream for a very long time.
Yeah, we've been talking
And
about it for a while.
Yes, and having to bring this conversation to you guys means so much to me. And yeah. So we're going to start by talking about what the state of mind is.
Yeah.
When we came about the team, it was majorly because we're looking at what are the things that guide our relationship with people.
Yes.
You know, you want to make a decision. You're trying to take the greatest step in your life.
Yeah.
There are some things probably that happened in the past or things around you at the moment that would influence your decision and everything. And we discovered that state of mind is that particular aura that defines the decision you make, that defines the step you take at every point in time.
Yeah.
So we notice that it's something that is very important, especially for young adults. And, you know, young adults are at the stage of making decisions at every point in time. You need to make decisions about the kind of friends you keep, about what you want to study in your A-level, what are you going to school to focus on, do you want to go into art immediately, do you want to be a science major, and all of those things. And even for adults, are you ready to like raise 5 kids with your
Honestly,
career?
I think
You know?
it's decision making is something that you never stop doing
Yeah.
until maybe you lose the ability to actually use your own mind. Because it doesn't matter how old or young you are. I mean, especially with social media now,
Yeah.
you'll find that people who you think, like in our day, I'm not aging myself here, but when I was growing up,
Yeah.
women in their 40s really did not have much of an opinion. They were mothers, they were aunties, and they went to work, came home, took care of the family, occasionally went on one holiday or the other, and that was that.
Yeah.
They didn't really have much of an opinion.
Yeah.
But now, 40 is the new 20. So definitely 70 is like the new 50.
Yeah.
And you're seeing 70-year-olds going on social media, on Instagram, doing weights, getting divorced, getting remarried,
Yeah.
adopting, fostering, all kinds of. And
Like
you're
they're just beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are decisions that when I was growing up
Yeah.
as a kid, I grew up with this mentality, well, around this mentality that by the time I was 30, I should have figured out exactly what I was going to do with all of my life.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Who can?
True.
Because biologically, the frontal, the part of your brain that starts to close up from when you're a baby, doesn't actually close up completely until you're 30.
Wow.
So your brain is still growing and developing until you're 30. And yet, you're meant to have made up your mind on where your life is going
Yeah.
before you're 30.
Yeah.
Makes no sense when you think about it biologically.
Yeah, even the saying that says if we're at 40, so it looks like you have to make those decisions before you get to 30, because from 30 to 40, if you're not standing, if you're not at the right position you want to be for your life, the society will term you as a fool.
But the
Right.
society is so wrong. Because, again, not everyone will run the same race. And
Yeah.
that's why I find so many people living very frustrated lives, very, tired lives, because they're chasing after a dream that truly is really not achievable. Because the world of 1980 is not
Yeah.
the world of 2024.
True.
I remember back then my cousins will finish from university, they'll finish their semester and go straight to Muritala and jump on a plane and go to London. And their parents don't know.
Wow.
And they'll come back just before school resumes, and they'll bring presents and be like, I bought it from London. You're like, when? But
How did you go to London?
exactly, because back then you
Yeah.
could get your visa at the airport. You didn't have to go and queue anywhere.
Yeah.
You didn't- So there's so many things that have changed about life that is not a unified life anymore. Back then it was like trying to make things almost uniform for everyone.
For everyone.
So upper class was upper class,
Yeah.
middle class was middle class,
Yeah.
lower class was lower class. Now in life, really, where are these people? Where is the upper class? Where is the middle class? You really can't tell, because you could be upper class today,
Yeah.
lower class tomorrow, because
Tomorrow.
life changes so rapidly. Sorry, I just hit the mic. So rapidly. So it's crazy that you're now telling someone in their 20s to make up their mind about the trajectory of something they cannot control. People are investing in bitcoins and everything. 1 minute they're making money, next thing everything crashes.
Yeah.
Look at when people invested in MMM. They were making money, they were happy. The thing crashed. Some people committed suicide
Yeah.
because they lost everything. So how do you then make lasting, lifelong decisions?
Decisions. Yeah, true. So briefly, we're just going to go back to what state of mind means to people. If you ask a random person on the streets, what do you understand by the state of mind? What does it mean to you? What do you think their response would be?
The normal person, if I was on the street and they asked what state of mind, I'd be like, as I'm standing right now, I have a state of mind.
Okay, what is your state of mind right
It's
now?
a constant, I think state of mind is a constant state of being.
Okay.
But it can get influenced. It can be changed. It is not static. It's always fluid. I actually went to trusty Google.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was like, let me not go and give one definition that would be like, what is she talking about?
Bring it on.
So I went and I typed in state of mind, the meaning.
Okay.
It says state of mind is a noun phrase that refers to a person's emotional state or mood at a given time. It can also refer to the effect a person's mood has on their thinking and behavior. For example, I was not in the right state of mind to laugh at his jokes. So normally his jokes are funny, but my state of mind does not permit me to laugh at his jokes.
Okay.
State of mind can also refer to a person's reasons or motives for committing an act, especially a criminal act. So she committed the crime out of a state of anger and frustration. So again, then they talked about synonyms of state of mind. So outlook, disposition, mindset.
Yeah. Mindset.
So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So it's basically what your mental state is, where you are, what position you are mentally at every given time. So because it has time attached to it, it changes. Right?
That's why I said it's fluid.
Yeah, so it changes. So why do you think this is important to us at the workshop for the Unveiling Identity workshop? Why do you think state of mind is important?
I'll reply with a question. How do you know who you are if you don't know your state of mind? How do you know your personality? How do you know how you react to things? How do you know who your essence is?
Okay.
If you do not know how your disposition is.
Okay.
Because then you're literally a robot.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Or
before you go further, I'm actually
okay,
reading a book.
okay,
It's titled The Wild Robot.
okay.
And now thinking about it, because what happened to the robot was it landed on an island, and that was the first time the robot is um, facing anything that has life. And she had to learn how to survive and do all of those things. So are you saying that a robot would not have a state of mind?
Well, a robot could have a state of mind because I was going to finish is either you're a robot or a wild card. Because if you are saying I I don't feel anything, I'm not influenced by anything, I don't feel anything, then you're emotionless, which would be like a robot. And that's even in itself is a state of mind, a state of I'm just there.
Okay.
But again, that can't last.
Yeah.
Something, because again we are all in states of inertia. Something, an outside force will
Yeah.
always push
Propel
us,
you. Yeah.
propel us, and then we respond in one way. So something happy will happen, something sad will happen, something that we thought might never happen will happen, something that we hoped will happen might not happen, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So you deal with all of that. But then if you are a slave to your state of mind, like you are propelled by your state of mind, is your mind that moves. Then you become a wild card. Nobody can determine. They'll be like, only God knows what state of mind
Yeah.
she's going to be in today. She could be happy, she could be sad. And that's when you start hearing people throw things like bipolar, which annoys me. Because bipolar is a serious condition. It's not
It
something
is.
that is just about people changing their minds.
It
So,
is.
yeah.
It is. Okay. So, for any young adult, like before you make a decision or you're probably having a conversation with someone, and say, for example, your state of mind at the time is just like, what's the word, sulking? Is that?
Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
sulky.
Yeah, and but the moment demands you to like be responsive. Maybe you're in a professional gathering and you have to be professional as the word demands it. How do people actually take charge of their state of mind and to make sure that you're actually giving out what you want to give out, not what your mind or your disposition or your current state is giving out? How do you manage that really?
Well, that's where maturity comes in. That's why I was talking about the fontanelle.
Okay.
Because, again, when your brain is still developing, because think about when you were a teenager. There are some things nobody could tell you nothing.
Yeah.
You were so sure that you knew what you wanted, the way you wanted to go. There are some things that you rebelled against. Because, again, being a young adult from when you're about 15 to you're about 23, you are figuring out who you
A lot of
are.
things, yeah.
You're figuring out what you like, because again, you like rice because that's what you ate at home all the time. But then when you start to go out and go to
Yeah.
restaurants for yourself,
Discover
and
you like
so
something
then you
else.
find, oh, I actually like something else. It's not really rice, just because that's what we ate at home.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how we dress. I always wear native because that's what your mom sewed for you all the time. But when you actually go and shop for yourself, for the first time, you actually go, hey, wait a minute, my style is different,
Yeah.
And those are the things that causes that clash between the established and the emerging, because parents are like, we've taught you this is the way to go,
Yeah.
and then you're going,
We've been
I want to
there.
try this. But we're telling you this is the way to go. But of course, you need to develop. And that's how I read something about parenthood, that parents need to understand that children are not theirs. Once you realize that your child is not your own, all you were meant to do was to bring that child to this
Guide,
world and
support,
guide.
yeah.
But that child is not your own. That child is their own person. They have their own entity, their own, and that is where you get a fully rounded person. Well, that's when you find mama's boys and daddy's girls, because
Yeah.
they've always been propelled in one way or the other.
Yeah.
But when they can actually just be themselves, you see a truly remarkable person.
True.
So, I think it's unfair. I always give grace to young people because I understand they're going through puberty,
Yeah.
everything. Their hormones are all over the
Changing.
place.
Yeah.
Everything is changing. Like, I didn't even realize that young children don't sweat until they hit
How young?
puberty. Like, children, babies, they do not sweat until they hit puberty.
Oh.
They don't, because your sweat glands get developed at puberty.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
strange.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
So I smell my little one. I'm like, she actually has been like since yesterday, and she doesn't smell
Ah.
because she doesn't have those sweat glands.
Okay.
You know.
So those are the things that comes with
Exactly.
puberty.
So all these things, when they come in, the hormones are, and then you want somebody whose emotions are up, down, dopamine is flying here, and you want them to make something. I mean, again, circumstances can push someone to focus. Like if a young person has a dying parent,
Yeah.
and they're the carer, they can't really be messing about. Although you find some young person will be angry, and yet you find another young person be like dedicated.
Yeah.
So again, it's still all personal. But I think grace needs to be given to a young adult, that their mind is not at a fixed place that wisdom gives. So if they make a decision that is silly, let's not rub it in too much. We'll rub it in a bit because that's how wisdom comes.
Yeah.
But not too much that they now feel inadequate.
Yeah. So they are constantly in a state where they are moving towards that maturity.
Yes.
And we should always understand that with them.
We
have a lot to do.
Yes, you are a product of your experiences.
Yeah.
You're a product of everything you've gone through. Same as myself. We were talking in the taxi and I was telling you about my dating experience. And another person would have made totally different decisions.
Yeah, true.
And then maybe down the line, something will be happening and we'll be wondering, why now? You have everything.
Yeah.
And then someone else will look at me and go, look at your life. So at the end of the day, how we react to the things around us, to the experiences that we go through, they are part of the building blocks of who we are.
Yeah.
And that contributes to the state of mind.
True. Perfect. All right, before we continue, I'm just going to brief our listeners a bit about what the Unveiling Identity Heart Workshop does.
Yeah.
So at the workshop, we have a session that is about art therapy. And what we try to do basically is to bring young adults to a state where they understand who they truly are. We understand from this conversation we just had that it's a process, right? And the joy of the process is that you're able to like go through every process, every stage of the process without rushing. Because from every point you learn, you pick up some things that match up to you, be your experiences in life. And each stage is actually very important, just like the butterfly.
Yeah.
So at the workshop, we had this therapy session about the processes of the metamorphosis of butterfly. And it's so beautiful to know that every stage of our lives, just like a small child, you have to learn how to work, how to crawl first. Then actually some children, they don't crawl.
As I was walking at 7 months.
Oh, you see? So, but again, it depends on your DNA.
Exactly.
Your makeup, who you are as an individual. But whoever you are, whatever your makeup is very important that each person is patient enough and dedicated enough to go through each stage of their life, picking up lessons and getting better as you go on. So what we do basically at the workshop is we have conversations around personal development and unveiling identity, trying to understand who you truly are, so that in the face of everything that is going on around the world, because a whole lot is happening, right? We're able to like stand firm and we work with who we actually are. We're not doing this dilly-dally. I'm trying to be Sharon Onoja tomorrow. Yesterday, I was trying to be Genevieve. And what makes the world beautiful is actually individuality.
Yeah.
Understanding who we are so that we can be part of the butterfly.
Yeah.
The wings of the butterfly that makes everything beautiful at the long run. So that's what we do basically. And we are going to be coming here to discuss each of this team from time to time so that we're able to break it down more and people can understand better what we're trying to do with the Unveiling Identity workshop. So thank you so much, Abby, for that exposition. And we're going to briefly talk about the next team.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the spirit, soul, and body, and how it connects to decision making for our future. So, over to you, Abby. What do you think about that team?
I actually like it. It's because again, it's the progression, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because part of establishing your identity is taking responsibility. Now, you will see some people, they'll go through life, it is always everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
It is never their fault.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, whatever decisions they make, and whatever consequences come from it, is someone is so and so that
It's
told me to
because of
do
this,
it.
it's
It's because of that. It's
Yeah.
never something they've, like I take responsibility for what I've done. But how do you even start to understand who you are as an entity? Because we are a makeup of body, soul, and spirit.
Yeah.
So how do you understand your entity if you refuse to take responsibility for your actions, your decisions,
And the outcome of your
and
life.
the outcomes of them that from your state of mind that leads to your identity? Because remember, it's all about unveiling your identity.
Yeah.
And in what is your identity contained? Is it contained in your body, your spirit, your soul?
Wow. Yeah.
So
It's beautiful. I actually like the connection. So most times when we come about these themes, I don't really see the depth of it until when we start having conversations. Like I learned a whole lot at the last workshop.
I loved that workshop.
So from conversations I had with people, and they'll be like, usually people will share a different dimension of what you've been talking about, and you'll be like, where does this wisdom come from again?
Life.
And you feel like, oh, I didn't know this.
Not life.
And it's just beautiful. Like the way you've connected the two teams, the way you've connected them, and also Unveiling Identity, how it connects to Unveiling Identity. I was actually talking to Dean.
Oh, yeah.
And he explained to me what he interpreted from the last workshop and actually what Unveiling Identity is. He's working on a body of work, and it's
he's
something,
a fantastic artist.
Yeah, he is. And it's something about is it the chase or I can't remember the name right now. So, or I don't even want to say the name. So he's working on something in particular, and the way he connected it to what he picked from the workshop, it was so interesting. And what he told me was, he explained what we discussed about Ayoba, as Ayoba being something in particular that drives you, that if you don't take cognizance of it, even if you become the wealthiest person on earth,
You'll be miserable.
Yeah, until you get to that point where you identify what that thing is. That thing that drives you is different for everybody. Until you get to that point where you understand it, you identify it, you understand it, and work with it. That is when you can actually say you're living, you're thriving, not surviving. So it was like, until we all get to that point, we just have to keep looking.
Yeah.
And the good news is, looking is not bad that we're looking. It's part of the process.
Yes.
We'll keep looking for it until we get to that point when we get it. And after we get it, after you get that drive, you want to be at a point where you are influencing people with it. You know, you can touch lives with it. Okay, this is what drives me. But how do I add to the society? How do I give back to the society? How do I make sure that what I'm doing is touching lives and people are getting influenced by what I'm doing? So it doesn't stop. It doesn't end at identifying it. So basically, I feel like Unveiling Identity is it's a lifelong journey.
Oh, yes.
It's a lifelong journey, and having to be able to go through it with like-minded people.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you,
it's
there's nothing like
beautiful.
it. You know, what you were saying there about, having to, when you've gotten the drive and then thinking, how can you affect people? This is the way I look at it.
Okay.
The most important thing, I was telling the videographer recently, I said, look, I'm not moved by opinion of anybody. The opinions of others mean nothing to me. I have worked through life to get to that point. And the reasons why getting to that point has given me a certain kind of freedom that a lot of people don't have. Because we are brought up to care about people's opinion. We are brought up to, because, when we go there, you better greet everybody.
Yeah.
You have to be polite.
Be polite.
When they give you, they teach us please and thank you.
Yeah.
Not really for ourselves, but to impress others. Because Yoruba will say, if you say thank you, then you get another one. So you better say thank you.
Yeah.
So all of this is for outside approval. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in that. We get so enamored by that it totally defines everything that we are. And I believe that when you found what it is that makes you move, what it is that makes you wake up in the morning and go, you know what, today doesn't suck because I get to do this.
Yeah.
Is about because you can't give what you don't have.
True.
So if you don't have joy inside of you,
how do you give it?
How do you give it?
Yeah.
If you do not feel fulfilled by what you're doing, how can you give fulfillment to other people? So I think the most important thing, first of all, is connecting with it to a level of almost expertise. Like there are certain things that I honestly do not have to think. I can do it even without thinking. Sometimes, I make handmade cards.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll make a card and I'll be like, I didn't even realize I was making a card. I was just like, and my brother will be like, whoa, that looks nice. And I'm like, well, I actually wasn't thinking when I did that because I've done it so much. And the cards then go out and give people joy when they get them and when they can give them, because it's not just about getting a card, it's about giving also, But if I did not develop that first and have that connection with what I do and what actually makes me, I told you art is my life.
Yeah.
Now imagine if I had given that away when I was asked to give it away. Would I walk this earth fulfilled? There will be a giant heart-shaped hole in my heart that will come out in bursts of frustration, anger, maybe aloofness, and people will be like, what's wrong with that woman? She just, and they don't know it's pain.
Yeah.
Because when you don't get what drives you, when you're walking around without a purpose, you haven't figured out what makes you you, all you have is pain. You're walking around in pain. Pain is, expressed in different ways.
Yeah.
It could be frustration, it could be anger, and it could be just being quiet.
Yeah.
And just coasting through life. And sometimes that's where you find mothers going, I gave everything up for you. I didn't ask you, Mom. Nobody asked you to do that. I know you feel that you want to do it. But there are mothers who didn't, and their children are thriving.
Yeah.
Did you give it up because you wanted to? Because again, if I want to give up something, I've made my peace with it. But if I'm forced to give it up, or I feel forced to give it up, there can only be pain.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Thinking about it, I can't even imagine it. It's like the worst way to live.
Imagine if you couldn't do what you're doing now.
No.
Imagine if someone said, well, for you to get this thing, you have to give up this thing.
It won't work.
It won't work. It might look so good
when
it's being presented to you. that this is what you want, Abby. You have to give up that. It might look good, but if you actually sit down, and that is where retrospective thinking comes in. Now, when you sit down and think and go, in 5 years, would this thing that looks so fantastic
still be relevant to me?
Really still be relevant
to my
me?
being?
When you also put into the notion that you will change, things will happen. And then you take the gamble, because life is a gamble.
Yeah. So we are all constantly in a state where we are trying to understand and accept, like you said. There's a word you use, you master it. That thing that makes
expertise.
You master it. That thing that actually drives you. Because if you don't, eventually, life throws a lot at us, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you end up in a place where people feel like, oh, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. You'll be better at this if you're not standing well in that thing that drives you. If you're not standing well with it, in it. It will be easy, very easy for people to like push you this way, that way, and eventually you end up living a life that is far from fulfilled.
Yeah. And when you put into the notion that we all have our different clocks. I started acting when I was a teenager. But I didn't get my proper film role
Until
decades later. And along the line, I have been told, maybe this thing isn't for you. Why don't you I even came to this country and did my master's in human resource management because my family were like, at least have something in your back pocket in case.
Just in case.
But I knew. I'm blessed, and I've told you my story. I'm blessed that from very young, I knew what I wanted to be. It was, when you know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
So anytime anyone tried to divert me from it, I knew that. That's why I say I'm a jack of many trades, because people have gone, do this one, do that one, and I'm like, okay.
Maybe
so that I
this
will
is
not
it,
offend
maybe
you.
that,
Let me, and then I'll do it, maybe succeed slightly or fail colossally or whatever, and I've done it. And then I'll go back to. And that's why I said the opinion of others means nothing to me, because I had to come to that place where I was like, I'm done being pushed by people's opinions.
Yeah.
By wanting to look good or right in the eyes of the world. By wanting to please people. Why can't people want to please me instead?
Right.
So I always ask myself, why is it me who has to please you? Why can't you please me? Please me by introducing me to the people I need to be introduced to. Please me by championing me. Please me by putting money in my pocket.
Yeah. That would go
Why are
way.
you insisting I should be the one to please you? And it takes a certain retrospective thinking that, I only have a limited time on earth. What am I doing with it? I'm busy running around trying to please people. Am I okay?
It's not what
Is that what I was brought to this earth to do? So you just have to get to a point, and make the right decision.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you were able to understand, even though as a young person, the influence of the elderly ones will still be like a lot, but you were able to understand. Do you know there are some young people that all they just do is follow whatever people around them want them to do?
Oh yeah.
Right. It's probably because how family is. Family is that place where you find joy.
It's your safe space.
Yeah, it's your safe space. And for some reasons, you just feel like, well, why not? Why can't I just do whatever they want me to do? But I'm really glad you were able to identify that thing that drives you from
It was
very
not easy.
younger age.
Let nobody be mistaken. It was not easy. It was not fun.
Oh.
Being called all
Yeah.
kinds, because you get called all kinds of things. People have certain opinion about you. Some people don't even know you, but they've heard of other people's opinion, and they deal
carry
with
it
you accordingly.
to that, yeah.
And it's then you just letting who you are shine, and then they go, I actually thought you were like this, so I didn't know.
Yeah, when they
But now
come
that I've met
closer.
you, you're cool. Oh, I want when I grow up, like, get out.
We didn't start from there.
It is start from there, you know,
Right.
and you have to you have to almost be like resolute in what, because I'm sure if I ask and say, name 5 people you know who went through university, maybe even did their masters, and then they went and changed and did something and said, oh, this is what I've always wanted to do.
A lot.
You can
Because
name.
you hear some people, they are going to tell you that, oh, I actually studied medicine because of my dad.
Exactly.
I did this because of my mom. Now, I'm done. This is the certificate, Egba. Now I want to go and pursue my own
Passion.
Yeah, it happens
And then
a lot.
you see, it's like, I've gotten this certificate for you. Or you know, people who, like my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I actually was admitted to study law. I told you what happened, you know, and he was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you have everything to be a good lawyer. And people say, you can argue for Africa. You make a perfect lawyer. Maybe, but is law only about arguing? There are many other things that are involved in being a lawyer.
Yeah.
And when it comes to book smarts, I'm not bragging, I've got it. But the heart, is my heart in it? You see like when you see Femi Falana, you know this man was born to be a lawyer.
If he was not a lawyer, I don't know.
Exactly. What would he do with his life?
Yeah.
Because, you know, this is who Femi Falana is.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer. But look at Fowles. He's a lawyer too.
Mm-hmm.
But what is he doing?
He's a lawyer and many more.
And many more. In fact, many people don't even remember that he's a lawyer.
Sometimes we forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we are like the bad guy. You know?
Yeah.
So you just have to know who you are. I said to know yourself is not an insult. Though.
It's not.
You know?
Yeah.
Know yourself. And when you know yourself, when other people's opinion differs from what you know, it doesn't affect you that much because you know yourself. I say, you know that you are an amazing person. I said, that person is nonsense. Would I believe that? I know I'm amazing now.
Yeah.
So you say I'm nonsense.
What else?
For your pocket.
Definitely. This is really cool. And this is tending towards the discussion we had at the first workshop. And not the last one, not the one we had in June, the one we had in December.
Yeah.
And we're discussing something around perception, the connection between perception and impression. So, you know, you have, there's this image, there's this thing that people are perceiving from you, like who you are and all those things. But who you are really is actually different. And we had this conversation around you intentionally bringing out or acting the way you actually want people to see you, not just, you know, it's very possible maybe you're a very cool, calm, collected person, but just because you don't want people to bullshit whatever you do, you do this fronting. You act like someone that's aggressive.
Oh, yes. I'm a natural blagger. I've blagged my way through life.
Just because you don't want people to step on your toes. And we had this conversation around trying to actually, you know, act the way you want people to perceive you. If you want people to see you as a very professional person, and this is who I am, this is how you should talk to me anytime you see me, you know, those kind of things. Being intentional about it, and it's not like you're forming, it's not like you're acting. Being intentional about the perception you're putting out there. Because if you're not intentional about it, people are going to get a wrong perception about who you are, right? This is not about you acting, like trying to be who you're not, but being intentional about what you put out there, right? And so I just want to ask you, what do you think about that?
Well, In one of my many jobs, I'm actually a life coach. So I've coached a couple of people successfully. Okay. But there's something I call life masks. We all have life masks that we wear.
Okay.
So you wake up in the morning, you wake up, yawn, stretch, whatever. You see, that person who has woken up, that is the real you.
Okay.
Now, how many people are you willing to let see you first thing in the morning as you wake up? Not a lot,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
It's not you won't want your colleagues to see you first thing as you've woken up. Because you are just starting into the day fresh, brand new. That's who you are. But then now you have to go to work. Maybe there are people you like, there are people you don't like. Maybe there are people who come to the job, they are rude.
Yeah.
So you have to put on this mask of professionalism, where if somebody is rude, you have to politely put them in their place. Or politely be like, okay, it's not your fault. Maybe it's because I'm working here. That's why you can talk to me anyhow. Clap for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you have colleagues who become like maybe work husband, work wife, work bestie, that kind of thing. They're the ones you go and meet for gist, and then there's the one that will pass and be like, they pass, So we all have the way we interact,
Yeah.
and we put on masks to do that. So then you go to the market. So normally in the office you're cool, calm, collected, but you know how much shenji is in your hand.
Yeah.
So when you go to the market, you gotta haggle. You ain't gonna just say how much, £5, you put it down, you be like, £3 uncle. Because me I haggle, both in market they know me well. I don't
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever paid full price for anything in that place.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, has it gone up? Okay, put some more. Yeah, put some more. I'll pay the £5. So, that kind of, so you again, that's a different face. If you see me in the radio station, I'm all cool, calm, collected, and then you see me in the market, it's a completely different face.
Yeah.
But also at the radio station, it's a completely different face because then I've got to put on the voice and put
Yeah.
on the everything and be, oh hell, welcome to the happy place, and then I get home. Now I'm back to my comfort zone. I'm back to my safe space. But I've got a little one. So I still have to put on mommy mask. So where I just want to relax and fall yakata, I can't.
No.
Because now she wants, play with me, read me a story. I'm like, no, you got to sit down there. Give her the look. That kind of thing. You've done that. You've used that mask. And then, take that mask off. And you're ready to fall asleep. But then maybe if you have a boyfriend that is calling, now you again, you have to put on a different mask. Oh, hey, baby, how you doing? Or a husband or whatever. I'm not married, so that's why I went with boyfriend. But, like, oh, hi, baby, how you doing? Because it's doing that boyfriend, girlfriend that for me, like, the plenty. Plenty like.
Okay.
Like, oh, you look so beautiful. This whole
you.
thing. No. Meanwhile, you quickly put powder and makeup because you knew it was going to come.
Definitely.
So we go through life with masks. It's just the norm. However,
Okay.
do not wear a mask for so long that you don't even know when to put it down.
Or that you lose who you are.
Because that's when you lose who you are. Because now your face is so covered with masks that you don't even know what your real face looks like. You now become a Manila. This is not my real face.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where, when people are going through life wearing so many masks, trying to be everything to everybody and nothing to themselves, that's when they lose.
Who they are.
They don't just lose who they are, they lose.
Completely.
They lose. Because look at it, everything gets chipped away bit by bit. I remember when I was growing up and one of my mom's cousins came to our house and she said something to me. Inside my mind, I knew what I wanted to tell the auntie. But of course now, I didn't want to upset anybody.
Yeah.
For weeks, I was burning inside. Then a couple of months later, my mom and I had a conversation, and I was like, Auntie so and so that came, and she was like, hey, why did you tell her? I said, hey, because I thought, so now you've been carrying that fire inside you, so you should have told her. Oh.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah.
I've burnt away part of myself with rage because I was, of course, we still have to be polite and everything. We have to think about, but there's certain things that you just have to confront and deal with and answer and respond and have a voice. God has given us everything that we can use, but we make the choice to use it or not. So some people say, hey, nobody hears me. You have a voice.
You have a voice.
But you have chosen not to use it. It's your choice.
True.
You know? People say, hey, this person made me. Did they really? I was talking to, our bearded guy over there. I was talking to him and I said, tradition is dead people commanding the living on how they are going to live.
Okay.
No, think about every tradition you know that you follow. Is it by a living person?
The genesis of it will actually...
It's people who are dead and gone. Oh.
Yeah.
And then the living keep following it. It makes sense or it don't make sense. They follow. Some people will change and be like, okay, this actually doesn't make any sense. Look at even simple things like cooking. I'm sure that there's a particular way you cut your pepper. There's a particular way you cut your onions.
Yeah.
There's a particular way you cut meat or beef or chicken or whatever. Because that was a tradition you saw.
Okay.
Like okra. In my house, I grew up with my mom cutting the bottom and the top off.
Top and bottom, yeah. Same here.
And I was like, one day I was in the kitchen and I was like, why am I cutting off the top? Maybe it's part of the okra. So I only cut off the bottom because, well, you can't eat the bottom. I cut that off. And I used the whole thing. It didn't change the taste of the okra. Okra was fine. I had at least an extra spoon of okra from all the head that I didn't cut off. And from that moment onward, never ever cut off the head again. But every one of my siblings cut off the top and the bottom because we saw our mom do it. And she most likely saw her mom do it. And her mom saw us. You understand what I'm saying? There are some funny things that we do that we don't even stop to think and go, why am I doing this?
True. Thank you very much, Abby. Thank you for thank you for giving us that extensive explanation towards it. So, briefly, I would just like you guys to think about what state of mind is to you, and we want to hear from you. We want to know how state of mind reflects in your daily lives. We want to know how it influences your decision making and everything. And also to the theme of the next workshop, which is the spirit, soul, and body, and how it relates to our decision making in future, right? So I would like to know if you think it's a very important part of life, because we're going to be having a conversation around it. So we want to know, do you think having a balance between your spirit, soul, and your body, do you think it's a very important part of life? You know, we're talking about unveiling identity, trying to understand who you are and being able to like stand firm in who you are in the face of the many things that is going on in the world right now. So while trying to identify and understand who you are, do you think creating a balance between your spirit, your soul, and body, do you think is important for you as a person? So we'd like to hear from you guys. But first, I want to turn back the question to Abby. So, Abby, how important do you think it is for you to create a balance between your spirit, your soul, and your body? Do you think it's something that we should all do? How important is it for you?
Personally, again, because it's opinion. It's like bottoms, everybody has one.
Yeah, true.
Personally, I think it's important. And you also have to think about biology in the process of, creating that balance. Because now, this might be controversial. The physiological makeup of men is different from that of women.
Yeah, true.
And as we age, different things happen.
Happen.
So, okay, we grow older, osteoporosis starts to come, the bones start to get weaker, calcium, you need to take extra, whatever. So, and all of that still deals with your spirit and your soul, because if you're not feeling good in your body, then your spirit cannot feel good.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize the importance of that until I started to fall ill. And then I realized, whoa, okay, there's a huge connection here. That's why for me it's a very important thing. Again, as women age, you start to go through things like menopause.
Yeah.
As my mother would say, menostop.
It's not pause.
It's not pause, it is stop, pata pata. Menostop. You're going through, all kinds of hot flashes, this and that. You're going through, dealing with aches and pains. I'm sure that as you are now, the way you would jump up and down and run when you were 18 is not the way you would do now. It's different. As we are growing, even our body starts to change. So that tells you that change is a constant thing. It must happen, whether you like it or not. You can drink all the potions, rub all the lotions. Change will happen. Some people are lucky; they have a good DNA, they've got good metabolisms and everything. But even that, it can only be good for a period of time.
Yeah.
It will still be hit by life, And once you can understand and accept and then make a kind of shift and go, okay, if I'm taking care of this, then this also will be taken care of.
Oh.
So I'm taking care of my body, I'm taking care of my mind, which is also the soul.
Yeah.
My spirit will also be good. Because when you're taking care of your mind, you're reading, you're expanding your mind, you're having good conversations, you're learning. The moment you stop to learn, to me, you're on your way to death. But when you keep keeping your mind open and letting things come in, you check, you wait, does this one make sense? That's why, in America, sometimes I feel, before all of America comes for me, let me just keep my mouth shut. Well, I just sit there and think sometimes, how now? How? What's going on? What's going on here? You have to keep learning. You have to keep your mind open and know and that's why I believe so much in travel.
Okay.
You can't sit in your father's compound and think you know the world from there. Until you go to Fiji, how do you know what they eat? How do you know how they behave? How do you know their traditions? Until you go to Ghana, until you go to Kenya, go to Australia, until you travel. And thank God the internet is even there to allow us to travel in a way with our minds.
Yeah. We
can learn. So it's more than porno. You can learn. And once you start to expand one, the other will also expand. But if you starve one of the proper care, everything else will follow. It's the process of, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
How can you give your soul growth when you've stunted your body? Because remember, I know somebody will come and go, people who are disabled don't call. But there are many disabled people who are still, their minds are opened.
Yeah.
And they've opened up places that people who are even able-bodied did not even think. Because again, it's all about what you choose.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So I see how important it is for you.
It's
So before I
important.
ask the question, I just actually threw the question at you. Then when you were speaking, I now remember the connection between the pain you go through sometimes and how you're able to like hold yourself together. And after everything, you come out and people cannot imagine what you've been through.
Oh, yeah.
So I see how important it is for you. And I think it's also important for everyone being able to like create that balance between your spirit, your soul, and your body. It's very, very important. So the workshop is coming up December 13th. It's on a Friday. And I'm super excited because we have an artist coming to give us this exposition about, we're going to be working with something relating to sustainability, a bottle. We're going to be painting as well. It's going to be a wonderful time. Yeah. And we also have this entrepreneur that is coming to talk to us about how she moved from a normal 9-to-5 job, finding herself and creating a business of our own. And, it promises to be a wonderful time.
Oh, I'm so excited, especially the business one.
Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful time. So you guys go straight to Eventbrite. You can pick up your ticket now on Eventbrite and save the date and prepare to come for the workshop. It's going to be a wonderful time. So before we go, Abby, can you give us tips? How can you advise the youngsters, the younger generation? What do you think?
I'm young generation too.
Yeah, Abby is a young generation
with experience.
Yeah, on that level.
This is the thing I always say to young people: forgive yourself. Too many people walk around with the weight of expectations and they are so upset with themselves because they're not meeting what everyone expects them to meet. And they're just walking around with this big ball of rage inside. Forgive yourself. Give yourself grace. The kind of grace you will extend to somebody else who you see is struggling to try and make it, give it to yourself. And just take it one day at a time. If you make mistakes, look at the mistakes. Oh, I made you. Be grateful for them. That's learning. Let it go and move on. Let every new day bring something for you. And always try and find joy. Even if it's one tiny small thing in a day, find joy. And people say, what if somebody dies? My mother died. The day my mother died, I was upset. I cried, everything. And then I picked up the photo album and I was looking at photos of both of us. And then I saw a photo of a funny moment. And I actually sat down and I just started laughing because it was a good memory to have of her. Find joy in every day and forgive yourself.
Thank you, Abby. So
thank you.
Find joy, forgive yourself in every moment. So these are part of things that we need as we constantly strive to unveil our identity. Unveiling identity, I feel like it's actually very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that I can gradually, even for the workshop and everything we do at the studio, we are getting to know more about what the vision is, and gradually we are getting there. For every one of us, Rome was not built in a day. The process, understanding that you need to go through the process at every point in time is very, very important. And so, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
If you were not listening or watching, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
So thank you. We appreciate you guys. And thank you so much, Abby.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
this wonderful time.
I had a great
time. We're going to catch up again very soon.
Yes.
Before the workshop,
Of
definitely.
course.
All right. Bye for now, guys.
Bye. Thank you.